Good day everyone, we are Group 5 and today we will discussing global culture and media and lastly the globalization of religion. So first, let's have a recap on what is globalization. So globalization describes the growing independence of the world's economy, cultures and population brought by the cross borders, trade and goods and services, technology, flows of investment, people, and information. Before we go on, let's define what is culture. I have several definitions here. First, culture refers to the unified style of human knowledge, beliefs, and behavior from which people learn and the ability to communicate knowledge to the next generation. Its development has been mainly influenced by media. Here's another definition of culture. Culture it is commonly defined as the total way of life. It includes the customs, arts traditions, belief system, crafts, and all activities learned by a man as a member of society. So tanang gibuhat sa tao nga iya nakatunan sa society is makonsider na as culture. How about religion? Yes, part ko na sa culture. Baong if ikaw ra ang nagbuhat, like, let's say, culture na nimo magsigi o kanang pangibot og buhok. So actually, di sad ka kaingon nga culture na nimo kay ikaw man usa ang nagbuhat ana. Maybe we can call it mannerism. So, okay, that's the definition of culture. Historically, media underwent 5 stages of development from the earliest forms to the complex one. These stages affect globalization progressively. According to Lowell, media has 5 stages of development, which includes oral communication, script, printing press, electronic media, and digital media. These stages help shape globalization by making communication faster, easier, and wider in reach. So the first one is oral communication. It all started with oral communication. Language allowed humans to communicate and share information. Moreover, language became the most important tool for exploring the world and the different cultures. It helped people move and settle down. Oral communication led to markets, trade, and cross-continental trade routes. So, this was the earliest form of communication. People shared information by speaking, storytelling, and face-to-face interaction. It helped humans learn, pass traditions, and connect with different groups. For example, indigenous Filipinos stealing alamat or legends to the younger generation, like the Subilanon or storytelling tradition in Cebu, where elders pass down history, values, and life lessons through spoken narratives. So the next stage is the invention of script. Sa dili dapit smooth na gamay ang concept. So script allowed humans to communicate over a longer space and for a much longer duration. Ngano for a much longer duration man? Just like for example, na usa ka tawo nga kabalo sa history kung giunsa pagpatay si Rizal. This is just for example, okay? So, kung mamatay ganitong tawhana, siya ra jud ang kabalo sa stories kung giunsa pagpatay si Rizal. But if iya ibutang sa script, by the way, script it means written. Okay, so if iya ibutang sa script, then naay makabasa, so mas daghan ang makabalo and for longer duration. Mao ni buot pasabot. So also it allows the permanent codification of economic, cultural, religious, and political practice. So script means when writing was invented, people could record information permanently. This solved the problem of distance and forgetfulness. Knowledge became easier to preserve and share. For example, the use of the baybayin script by early Filipinos to record their laws, stories, and traditions, demonstrating their cultural identity and knowledge. So the third one is printing press. The introduction of printing press allowed the continuous production, reproduction, and circulation of print materials. Kanang printing press is dako jud natabang most probably sa schools, markets, businesses, churches, and governments. Like for example, schools kanang mga reproduction sa mga materials like books. As you can see, if wala pa na-imbento ang printing press, If may ganahan kuhaon nga information sa library, siguro magmanumano na si siguro og suwat. So, magtungod sa printing press, bisag pila imo ganahan nga copy makuha nimo. Like the publication of Nole Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo by Jose Rizal, which sparked nationalist sentiments and contributed to the development of Filipino national identity. The invention of the printing press allowed mass production of books, newspapers, and other printed materials. Information became cheaper and more accessible, not only for the rich but also for ordinary people. So ako na lang na i-shortcut. So electronic media includes devices that use electricity, telegraph, telephone, radio, film, and television. These technologies made long-distance communication fast. For example, telephone calls and radios used during World War II. International radio advertisements, example, Marlboro and Coca-Cola. TV broadcast showing global events like the Olympics or UN meetings. So the last page is the digital media, which relies on digital codes. It can be created, modified, and stored in any digital electronic device. Like for example, kani ako gibuhat karon nag-discuss ko using digital media. So digitalized content is transmitted over the internet and computer networks. As you can see, mas nakadali na jud ang pag-spread sa mga informations karon. Unlike sa una kay magpadarong tog letters, for sure karon na sa inyo ang nagkupot og cellphone. Isag asa na lang abot, it's either kani sa YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and etc. Daghan kay tag makatunan using social media like kanang mga tutorials usa ang pagluto, usa pa na dira. Inana naka-instant ang digital media karon. Ang nakanindot pa jud ani, it can be created, modified, and stored. For example, using your phones, pwede na kay ka makaskwela. Actually, ang kanang social media gigamit din sa mga Filipino politicians to connect with voters, particularly younger demographics. For example, during elections, candidates often use Facebook and Twitter to share their platforms, engage in debates, and mobilize supporters. But be careful guys, ayaw mo pataka o panghatag sa inyong mga personal info kaya daghan na kayo scammer and hackers. In short, digital media uses computers, the internet, and digital goods. Information can be created, shared, and stored easily. This is the most advanced stage. In conclusion, the development of media from oral communication to digital media greatly shaped the modern world. Each stage made communication easier, faster, and more global. Today's digital media connects people everywhere, creating a truly global culture.
Hi everyone, I'm Leo Emmanuel Siman, and today I'll talk about how media connects people and spreads culture around the world. We'll also learn about the three ways on how globalization affects culture and how media helps mix local and global tradition. Media is a carrier of culture. It is a tool for the interaction of people with different cultures. However, the real media is the people. Marketing people seek the world for their cultural products, and managers facilitate interaction of culture for profit. Others bring cultural exchanges of beauty and power. These interactions result in the integration of culture. Peters, 2004, asserts that the only outcomes of the influence of globalization on culture are cultural differentialism and cultural convergence and cultural hybridity. So media is not just about TV, radio, or the internet. It's also us who use the platform. So we are the ones who share our culture through social media, music, and even the way we dress. That's why media connects people from different countries and help cultures mix together. Cultural differentialism views cultural difference as immutable. As the West and non-Western civilization interacts are brought in contact through globalization. Class of civilization, such as that of the West and Islam logically follows. So this one means that some cultures doesn't really blend. They stay different. Even if globalizations connect us, each culture keeps its identity. For example, Western countries and Islamic countries have very different lifestyles. So sometimes they don't understand each other's. That what that's what we call a cultural clash. Cultural convergence. So cultural convergence suggests that globalization engenders a growing sameness of culture. However, the culture of powerful and progressive countries becomes culture. Take the example of K-pop culture. Some teenage Filipinos prefer to dress up like their South Korean idols. A lot of them have also joined fan clubs in support of Korean novellas, Korean boy bands, and among others. At the same time, many Filipino music fans are influenced by jazz and the reggae music of the West. So this is when the cultures start to look the same, like how K-pop became popular here in Philippines. A lot of a lot of Filipino copy their style of music. So even our theme songs also sounds a bit like Western music now. That's because we're all connected online. Cultural hybridity. So cultural hybridity suggests that globalization spawns an increasing and ongoing mixing of cultures. An example of this is the Chabacano, a Spanish-based Creole language of the Zamboanga city and some parts of Cavite, which exemplifies hybridity in language prompted by the merging of two cultures. This trend will further bring about new cultural forms, not only language but also in food, fashion, arts, music, and among others. So this one means mixing cultures together make something new. Like Chabacano is a mix of Spanish and Filipino language. Even in food, we have Filipino versions of foreign dishes. That's what cultural hybridity means, combining two cultures. These outcomes set the dynamics between local and global cultural production. Localization, coined from globalization and localization, is a rather new concept brought about by the increased frequency of contact among cultures. This reinforces that the fact that local cultures are not weak, static, or fixed. They are built and understood a new age day of globalized world. Dole 2014. Local cultures continue to accommodate and assimilate cultures of the world due to globalization. So, globalization globalization means that even though we adopt global trends, we still keep our local identity. For example, Filipino might love Korean music or Western food, but we still give it a Filipino twist, like Filipino style spaghetti or our own K-pop dance covers. All in all, the five stages of development of media have greatly influenced the globalization of culture. From pamphlets to Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, video has produced and reproduced culture products around the globe. Moreover, the increase in in culture interaction generated by media results in outcomes that exhibit the vigor of local cultures influenced by the global culture. So before, people used to share ideas using books or pamphlets. Now we just post online with social media. We can also show our dances, food, or music, and people from other countries can see them too. That's how media helps spread culture today. Thank you.
So let's proceed to religion. What is religion? For Christians, it is a relationship with Jesus. Religion for Christians kay about having a close relationship with Jesus nga mo-guide sa ilang life. For Muslims, it is a way of life. For Muslims, ang religion is a way of life nga ilang sundon every day. While social cultural system, religion is a social cultural system nga nagdala og beliefs, practices, morals, o traditions sa usa ka community. Supernatural, transcendental, spiritual elements, it connects people to supernatural or spiritual elements sama sa Ginoo, spirits, og higher power. However, in reality, religions is difficult to describe and realize because human belief structures are varied and complex. Most known religions. First, Christianity, which is 2.2 billion adherents. Christianity is the largest religion na nagsunod sa teachings ni Jesus Christ. Second, Islam, which is 1.8 billion adherents. Islam is a religion nga nagfollow sa guidance ni Prophet Muhammad. The third is Hinduism, which is 1.1 billion adherents. Hinduism is one of the oldest religions nga mostly makita sa India. And the lastly, Buddhism, which is 520 million adherents. Buddhism teaches peace and meditation para ma-end ang suffering sa life. Spreading of religion through early stage of globalization. First, pilgrimage. Pilgrimage is when people mo travel to holy places para mapalig-on ilang faith. Second, tourism. Tourism helps spread religion kaya ang travelers makalearn of new beliefs sa lain-lain nga lugar. Third, Silk Road. Silk Road was an old trade route nga giagi-agian sa goods and also gispread and religions. The lastly, cultural exchange. Cultural exchange happens when people mag-share of traditions, beliefs, or practices sa different cultures. In the end, we can see nga religion plays a big role sa life sa mga tao, whether Christians, Muslim, or from other beliefs. Through globalization, like travel, trade, and cultural exchange, mas dali makaspread ang mga tinuuhan sa different parts of the world. Even if lain-lain tag religion, it helps us understand each other better and reminds us to respect every person's faith and way of life. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Yunat Pino. So this report is about how religion works in a modern world where everything is connected. We call this globalization. When a religion moves from one place to a new place, it doesn't stay exactly the same. It starts mixing with the local culture and becomes a global local religion. This means it's big and worldwide but also has special local parts. A smart person named Redomi Toft in 2014 looked at this and said, there are four main ways this mixing happens. There are like four different models of how religion spread and changes when it meets a new culture. The first way a world religion changes is called vernacularization. What does it mean? It means that a big worldwide religion starts mixing with the local languages of the people. Universal religions are ones that reach everyone, everywhere like Christianity or Islam. When the religion comes to a new place, the people there want to read their holy books or pray in their own language, not just the old, original language. The religion changes to match the language used every day. Example, think about Islam. The most holy way to read the Quran is in Arabic, but the people all over the world speak different languages like English, Tagalog, or Spanish. So people translate the teachings and services into their local languages so they can understand and follow the religion better. Another example is in Roman Catholicism. For a very long time, the services were all in Latin, but as the religion spread to different countries, people started using their own languages like Greek, which helped create Orthodox Christianity. Vernacularization is when a religion starts talking in the language of the common people so it can spread better. The second way religion changes as it spreads is called indigenization. What does it mean? This means taking a big worldwide religion like Christianity or Islam and changing it to fit the special ways of a particular ethnic group or tribe. The group basically adopts the main religion, but they keep many of their own traditional beliefs, customs, and ceremonies. They make the new religion feel like their own ancient tradition. Examples. Think about Islam in the Philippines. The way different ethnic groups in the Zamboanga Peninsula practice Islam might look different from group to group. They follow the core rules of Islam, but they mix in their own unique traditions about clothing, festivals, or family life. Another example is in parts of Africa. When Christianity arrived, people didn't just forget their old ways. They often blended their traditional African forms of religion, like respecting ancestors or using certain rituals, right into the way they practice Christianity. In short, indigenization is when a local ethnic group changes a world religion to match their own specific culture and traditions. The third way religion and globalization mix is called nationalization. What does it mean? This happens when a religion becomes strongly tied to a specific country or nation. The religion and the church in that country starts to match the national identity, how the country sees itself, and the national realities, the true situation of the people in that country. It means the religious group becomes seen as a national institution, not just a branch of a worldwide one. Example. A great example is the Philippine Independent Church, the Lipayan Church. It is a Christian group that is independent, meaning it is not ruled by a church leader in another country like the Pope. It was created by and for Filipinos, so it is a national church. Other religious groups might change their name to include their country, showing that they belong to that nation. For example, the Greek Orthodox Christianity is a specific branch of the Orthodox Church tied strongly to Greece. Nationalization is when a religion becomes a special and strong part of a country's identity and its local church becomes independent. The fourth model is transnationalization. This means a religion is big in one country but also spreads out to other countries. What does it mean? This model builds on nationalization, a religion that is strongly tied to one nation, its national homeland, starts to spread and connect to its members who move to other countries. The religion keeps its strong link to the home country even though it now exists in many other countries. It helps people who move away keep their religious traditions and often their connection to their homeland. Examples. The Iglesia ni Cristo is a great example. It started in the Philippines and it is very strong and active here. It has a national scope. However, many Filipinos live and work all over the world. The Iglesia ni Cristo follows them and builds churches in other countries. It has an international reach. Even though it is all over the world, its roots and main authority are still clearly Filipino. It is a Filipino church that has become a global church for its member. In short, transnationalization is when a national religion becomes international, spreading to other countries but keeping its strong identity from its home country.
Good day, everyone. Today, I will be discuss about globalization of religion. So, religion is often like the global conflict, but these conflicts are not caused by religion itself. Instead, they come from people who misuse religion, techniques or political religions, and economic or personal interests. Even like the 9/11 attack, the Marawi, and Hindu nationalism show how religion is caused to justify action, drive by power and identity issue. Extremists use radical measure, claiming they follow God's, while fundamentalists seek and strictly to skirt their traditional and see traits as a track on their identity. According to Joy Maria, global religions rebel past true stage, revolt against secularism, spreading of religion, conflict, creation of global enemies, and eventually global war. So overall, religion becomes involved in conflict not because of its teaching, but because of how people interpret and use it for their own goals. So that is my report about globalization and religion. So thank you.